What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Dillian, the body snatcher Whyte, and Jarrell, Big Baby Miller. Dillian Whyte's brutal assessment of Jarrell Miller. Wow. Jarrell Miller stopped Lucas Browne in the 6th round of their very brutal heavyweight contest in Dubai, but Dillian Whyte believes him to be no threat to the division. Miller's career has been stop-start since serving 2 bans for separate doping offenses, the first of which saw a world title, of course, snatched from Anthony Joshua. Since then, the Brooklyn native has fought 3 times, 2 wins in 2022 and 1 this year against Lucas Browne. And despite the brash American's plans to continue straight to the top of the heavyweight scene, someone who has been hovering around there for years believes he doesn't stand a chance there. And his name is Dillian Whyte. Whyte, who last outpointed Jermaine Franklin to bounce back from his unsuccessful title challenge against Tyson Fury, was watching the fight and delivered a damning yet simple verdict to Jarrell Miller. And this is what he said. He said, Miller is so shit. Of course, Miller called out Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua in the aftermath, but Mahmoud Char entered the ring to try to set up a scrap, and that may be a more realistic option for Big Baby. There has been a lot of talk about Whyte in the past, with Miller's co-promoter Dimitri Salita eager to put the two against one another, both big men who have kickboxing backgrounds or brawlers and would deliver on the beef beforehand. And let me counterpunch. Dillian Whyte saying that about Jarrell Miller. I believe Dillian Whyte is on a different level than Jarrell Miller. However, to be sure, people, to be 100% honestly non-biased sure, let's see the fight. Why not? Let's see the fight happen. You know, we hear enough of fighters putting themselves on pedestals, putting themselves on a level above another fighter that they've observed, or a fighter that someone else has mentioned or suggested that they should fight. You know, Jarrell Miller, yeah, I think he's way overweight. I think he's out of shape. I think he's just coming back to the sport. I think he should be more hungry. But at the same time, I think maybe he's this big. Maybe he's not the shape that he was because he's off the juice. Maybe he's off the juice, and that's the reason why he can't perform like he used to. However, he's doing an okay job. It's not as bad as people think it is, because remember, this guy was allegedly cheating the whole time. So if he was cheating the whole time, and this is this straightforward, sober, without substance Jarrell Miller, this is what we have, and I say it's pretty good. But for Dillian Whyte calling him, you know what, I think that Dillian Whyte should show Jarrell Miller how it's done. After all, he fought Jermaine Franklin, you know. But then again, like I've told you guys, the reason for this particular action of these guys is their own ego, their own bravado. What do I mean by that? Dillian Whyte only wants to fight guys like Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Well, so does Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller only wants to fight Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk. You know what I mean? And he's, you know, all these guys are putting themselves on these rankings or these levels that I don't honestly think that they deserve right now. I don't. I think these guys need to humble themselves. I think both of these fighters need to really think about what they say. You know, Dillian Whyte has a lot of things to say about a lot of fighters. I still want to see the Otto Vailene Whyte fight. That would be the most reasonable fight. I wouldn't sit around and wait to see if Joshua beats Jermaine Franklin. I wouldn't do that. You know, because if he wants to stay active, I think that what keeps him sharp, on edge, like he needs to be. I don't think he needs to wait around, okay? I understand it's Ramadan. He's Muslim. I get it. But at the end of the day, I think he should do the same thing that made Dillian Whyte exactly desirable and exactly the guy that we thought he was. That busy guy, that guy that said everybody can get it because he's the can man, that type of dude. And if he says that about Jarrell Miller, let's see that fight. Because you know Dimitri Salita would have no problem with Jarrell Miller going head-to-head with Dillian Whyte. Now, I do know realistically that Eddie Hearn probably wouldn't want Dillian Whyte to do this, but I think if Dillian Whyte wanted to take any fight, I think Dillian Whyte could do that. You know, because I do believe that these fighters want to cut corners. I think that Dillian Whyte feels that he deserves certain things. But I think a fighter is only good as their last fight. And his last fight, let's face it, wasn't really that impressive. It wasn't. He was in a strung out fight with a guy that has no name. Now that guy does have a name. So he made that guy who that guy is. That Anthony Joshua Jermaine Franklin fight shouldn't have even occurred if he would have been able to take him out in 6 to 7 rounds like people expected him to do. Now, Jermaine Franklin was tougher than he thought he was, but that has nothing to do with other people's expectations. It doesn't. So at the end of the day, at the very end of the day, Jarrell Miller calling Dillian Whyte calling Jarrell Miller's performance against Lucas Browne, you know what? I think those guys should fight. You know, if he's not a threat to the division, I say, why don't you show that he's not a threat to the division and do everybody a favor by knocking out the 2 to 3 time drug cheat and get him out of the business once and for all. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Dillian the Body Snatcher Whyte and his brutal assessment on Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.